What's up everybody, my name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Marvel video, but this is a different one because this is a Marvel ranking video because now that Wonder Man has come out and released all its episodes out on Disney Plus, and I think we'll talk brief spoilers for all these Disney Plus shows, but I'll try not to spoil them in total, but if I do, I'm very sorry. But Wonder Man, if you want to go see a breakdown and reaction for the whole season, there's two videos out, one for the opening first episode, and then I did the rest of the season in a big bundle breakdown episode. So go check out the Wonder Man breakdowns if you haven't. There will be a link at the end of this video if you want to see that. But I did think it was funny that EMIAIL, Miss Marvel herself, dropped her Wonder Man review, and I thought it was very, very well done and very well said. And it just starts out with claps. Watch, clap, wonder, clap, man, clap. Watch Wonder Man, you know, like, so she's saying, watch Wonder Man, and if that was not convincing enough, allow me to briefly tickle your inner skeptic with a list. If you like movies, watch Wonder Man. If you like movies about movies, watch Wonder Man. If you're a Midnight Cowboy fan, watch Wonder Man. If you've seen every Marvel ever, or no Marvels at all, watch Wonder Man. If you prefer your superheroes human first and super second, watch Wonder Man. If you're a little sucker for a mentorship buddy comedy, watch Wonder Man. If you forgot what sincerity looks like, watch Wonder Man. If you miss Ben Kingsley's America line delivery, watch Wonder Man. If you're craving something breathable and refreshingly uninterested in assaulting you with lore, watch Wonder Man. If you appreciate some baller needle drops, watch Wonder Man. If you miss when the MCU was grounded and kinda weird and small and a little sad, or perhaps you felt like something's been missing lately and you can't quite put your finger on what? Congrats, you've found it. Watch Wonder Man. If you like when people who clearly care making projects for people who really care about those projects, watch Wonder Man. Okay, that's all she's got. To summarize, watch Wonder Man. Note, this message was written under pure influence of joy. No Kevins or Feige's are currently present when she's writing her review of Wonder Man. So, all her own thoughts, not something Marvel paid her to do. She genuinely liked Wonder Man. She's as big as Marvel fan as the rest of us. And I think I'll just jump right on into it because I have the top 20 Marvel shows here ranked on my Letterboxd, and there'll be a link for my Letterboxd down below, so go check out my lists, and ranking the Marvel television shows will be on that list. And I believe there's 21 projects in total, and the only one that wasn't on Letterboxd was Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But if there's any TV shows that fell through the cracks and I forgot about, please let me know, because I think there's only been 20 or 21, and Wonder Man was the 21st. And just starting out, my least favorite at 20, Secret Invasion. Now, that has nothing to do with Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Fury, because I don't think his character was necessarily done bad in that show. The show itself was bad. And, like, I like Emilia Clarke, but what the fuck was Gaia? What the fuck was Gravik? What was happening with that finale? Why would you kill Maria Hill? Like, there's so many problems. Why would you kill Talos? There's so many problems with Secret Invasion. And they've kind of just brushed right on past it, like, yeah, we're not coming back to that. We're probably not going to bring in the Skrulls again. We might never see Gaia again. But there is a couple of things from that show that I did quite like, you know, like the relationship between Nick Fury and Talos, and just seeing Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn go back and forth was highly entertaining. But then, like, Olivia Colman's character in that show, I want to see more of her. You know, at the very least, there was one thing from that show that I want to see again. It's Olivia Colman's character, because she was eating up dialogue. But that show, just unanimously across the board, I think people hate that show and just how it ended. And even Marvel itself, I think, is trying to avoid that with, like, the plague. But then in 19, the I Am Groot shorts There's a bunch of them. They're only like 15 minutes long, or some of them even like 5 minutes long. But, you know, they're quite funny, and they're cute, but they're not full shows, so that's why it's at 19. But then like 18 on, I'm genuinely a fan of all these shows, but they had to end up somewhere on the ranking. So some of these aren't necessarily where I would put them, but I put the animated stuff down bottom for now, at least, because the What If series, all 3 seasons, I liked, but I'm much more of a live action person, and until What If directly correlates with the live action MCU, I will only see it as an animated project, and that's why it's down here at the bottom. And Eyes of Wakanda, another project that was really good, I think was only, what, 4 episodes, and I quite liked Eyes of Wakanda, but I'd be pretty sure that a bunch of Marvel fans don't even know that that got released, let alone that it's a project at all. And it was only 4 episodes. It's not necessarily tied to any direct period of time for the Black Panthers, and they could do more with it, but it also might be one of those shows where it's a one and done and we won't ever get any more episodes of Eyes of Wakanda. So maybe that was it. Maybe it's over. You know, same thing with Marvel Zombies. We don't necessarily know if we're going to get Marvel Zombies Season 2. And to be honest with you, I think I'd want to watch Marvel Zombies Season 2 more than I'd want to watch Eyes of Wakanda Season 2. But very, very different shows. It's just the animation style that makes them look like Marvel animation. You know what I mean? And like, Marvel Zombies was really good. I like that they leaned into the gory side of things. And the 3 women there, friggin' Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, and Riri Williams. I want to see those 3 women together in live action so bad. Like, needed bad. One of Marvel's own only special presentation, I think there's only 2 of them so far, and the Guardians Holiday Special was the first special presentation, and I still watch it every Christmas. You know, I'm not going to watch it just randomly on a whim, but the last 2 years I have opened Christmas presents watching the Guardians Holiday Special, and some of the Kevin Bacon in the old 97's holiday music that James Gunn put in that show is now on my Christmas playlist, you know, so I quite like the holiday special, but I think Marvel should do not only more special presentations, they should do more holiday specials. You know, like, there's no reason we shouldn't have Agatha and Spooky Witch shit going on every Halloween. There's no reason why we can't have Hawkeye or Guardians or whatever every Christmas doing some Christmas thing for Marvel. You know, like, I think it's a missed opportunity, and it's a fun time of year to be at home, especially in like Boston where there's snow on the ground, it's cold, it's dark at 4 o'clock. You're not necessarily out and about during the winter as much as you would be during the summers around here. So, you know, for during the winter time, the only time of year I actually want to be in the house, why don't you drop some holiday stuff for your boy? The only other Marvel spotlight, because Wonder Man just became a Marvel spotlight as well, but Echo at 14, I really liked Echo, but I'm not sure we'll ever see her character again. I mean, Wilson Fisk was in her show, so she could very easily show up in Daredevil at any moment and just be a badass with a metal leg, riding a motorcycle. She's kind of got her own superpowers as is with Echo, and she's like deaf or something, you know what I mean? Like, needs sign language to communicate, and like, a very refreshing show, a very interesting show, very different than all the other shows on this list. But as far as Echo herself, Alaku Cox, the actress that plays her, I am totally here for Echo to return into the MCU. And I think possibly Daredevil Season 2, maybe not, but maybe, you know, maybe, you know, like, maybe even like a Spider-Man Brand New Day, you know, and she could come back into New York, be with like the Punisher, just being somebody helping Spider-Man fight against Kingpin and what he's doing in New York. I don't know. We're not even sure that that's what's going on in the Spider-Man movie, but we know it's going to be more grounded, so I think it's going to be crazy still, but I think it's going to be fun and interesting. But on to 13, we have Kamala Khan herself, friggin' Iman Belani's Miss Marvel, and I really like this show, but the show is that we're really not sure if we're ever going to get a season 2, or if there's ever going to be anything that comes after it, or, you know, things that just weren't done as well. You know, I think Miss Marvel's up on this list a little too high. I think Miss Marvel should probably be more like 15, and the other two above it. But Miss Marvel, I liked her and her family a lot, you know, and I think they're funny, and I actually quite liked the Marvels movie, and I thought her growth from a young girl in that first project ever in Miss Marvel to then starring in a live-action Marvel's MCU movie, that was fun and interesting, and I really loved the way that Kamala bounced off Carol Danvers and Lieutenant Trouble there, friggin' Monica Rambeau. And, you know, maybe that's why, because she did show up in something else, but, you know, we're not sure if we're ever going to get Miss Marvel Season 2. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier I quite liked, although some people really didn't, but the stuff with like Zemo fist pumping, you know, I'm still here for that show. And like, you know, John Walker, fucking Johnny Mayonnaise, fuck him, but like the stuff with the Power Broker in there was kind of interesting. I wasn't really here for the Flag Smashers, so that's why it's towards the bottom of the list. But at least Sam Wilson becomes Captain America in this show, and then goes on to have his own Captain America movie with Captain America Brave New World, and people like John Walker and Bucky show up in Thunderbolt. So at least, you know, out of all these shows that we're talking about, at least for the Falcon and Winter Soldier, at least we know where these characters went next. You know, like where people like She-Hulk, I really loved She-Hulk, and this was a controversial one. People hated She-Hulk, but Tatiana Maslany, I loved as Jennifer Walters. I loved the stuff with Bruce Banner in there, except the ending with Scar and that terrible haircut. But like, I love that she fucks Daredevil in the show, and like Captain America fucks, you know, like there's some things in She-Hulk that was absolutely so much fun. And just like a good time, not necessarily taking itself too seriously. It was funny, it was good. There's stuff in there with Wong that's really funny, but we don't know if we're ever going to get a She-Hulk Season 2, and we haven't heard or seen anything from Jen Walters or She-Hulk since, you know, so maybe that should be lower on my list. But as much as I like that show, I really, you know, the things that I like the most are things that I know we're getting more of, or things that I know, you know, led to something, you know. And another one of those that we just don't know about is Moon Knight, you know, and Oscar Isaac, fucking legendary Oscar Isaac. They get to be Moon Knight, friggin' Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, Moon Knight himself, then Mr. Knight, right? So he's got all these different characters he's playing. And then he's got, you know, Khonshu there, F. Murray Abraham, like, and then he had Ethan Hawke going up against him. Like, bro, Moon Knight was such a badass show. The music in Moon Knight was so good. The Egyptian, like, just being in Egypt, you know, felt really good. And like, the afterworld stuff, Hippo, you know, like Moon Knight is a great show. That's why it's in my top 10. And, you know, now that we're heading into the top 10 of things, Wonder Man rounds out at number 9. But both Wonder Man and Moon Knight, we don't necessarily know if they're going to show up, when they're going to show up. Maybe Moon Knight shows up in more like a Midnight Suns. I would hope we get like a Moon Knight Season 2 and a Midnight Suns. Or maybe, you know, Moon Knight himself is maybe in Avengers Doomsday. That would be nice, but I doubt it. You know, some of these characters like She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, a lot of these, Echo, the Guardians, I'm not expecting to see in Avengers Doomsday. Maybe Secret Wars, but I'm not expecting them in Doomsday. But if they show up, hey, that's a great time, you know. And Wonder Man possibly shows up in Doomsday because it's like the most recent thing, so then maybe they're like, hey, let's stick it in there. But I don't know, man. Some of these are like years and years old at this point, and we haven't heard anything from it. At least Wonder Man is brand new, and people are still watching it, you know, and it's only like a couple weeks old. And yet, it's sitting at number 9 on my ranking list, and it probably could have been higher, but my top 10 is pretty packed in stuff that I really, really like. So, you know, Moon Knight at 10, Wonder Man at 9, and then number 8, we have Ironheart, which unreasonably got dumped in 3 episodes, which I think was better than Wonder Man or Echo getting dropped all at once just to be able to binge. Luckily, Wonder Man is 8 episodes, but they're only like half hour a piece, so they move kind of well as a binge. But Ironheart, luckily, was 3 and 3, so you were able to watch 1, 2, 3, and then I think maybe even like a couple days later, it was the next 3. And, you know, I don't dislike that release schedule, but I prefer if our shows get released week to week and we get to talk about it each week and have fun and have conversations about it and viewership, you know, and like, I don't know. Ironheart, though, I 100% want to see Riri Williams back in the MCU. I want to see what happened with Mephisto. I want to see Mephisto back. I want to see, what's his name? Cloak or whatever Anthony Ramos's character was. I'm very, very interested in that show. And as long as she doesn't sell her father's Barracuda, I'm cool by Riri Williams. But going on to number 7, Agatha All Along. I believe we will see her and Billy? We will see her and Billy again in Vision Quest, if I'm not mistaken, unless that show is just 100% about Vision. But I think it is going to be about Vision, and he's helping Tommy, and then Agatha will be there probably as a ghost. If you guys know, you know. And, you know, they're going to be hunting down to find Billy's brother Tommy, who was drowning in a pool we last saw. So maybe Billy's going to pull him out and save him, type of thing. Or, you know, maybe that was just how Tommy's consciousness ended up in that body. But if you guys watched Agatha All Along, you know what I'm talking about. But down the witch's road, down the witch's road. Agatha All Along was incredible. The music was great. The cast was incredible. The costume department, the set department. The show itself was like moody and vibey, but I loved that it was week to week and we were having conversations as a group and like as a community that loves Marvel stuff. And Catherine Hahn absolutely crushes it. I mean, I wish she wasn't a ghost, but she's still around, so I'm not mad at that, you know, and Catherine Hahn can still do her damn thing as Agatha. Will she show up in Avengers Doomsday? Probably not. Same thing with Ironheart. I don't think they'll be in Avengers Doomsday, possibly Secret Wars. But at least we know Agatha will return in like Vision Quest, where we really don't know anything about Riri Williams. And then it had been rumored, number 6, I have Hawkeye, but it had been rumored that Hawkeye Season 2 was in the works, but Marvel didn't offer Jeremy Renner very much money, which is like not right, especially after his accident. Like, offer him as much money as he fucking wants and give it to him, goddammit. Like, you guys have the money. Fucking pay him more than you should have. Like, then let him come back for Season 2, especially if Season 2 is going to end up with Haley Steinfeld taking over the role as Hawkeye. Like, I don't want her to be the only Hawkeye. You know, I would love to see Kate Bishop Hawkeye, right? I love that character. But I don't want her to fully replace Jeremy Renner and him just retire, you know? Like, unless his character gets, like, you know, a leg lopped off or something and he needs to be bedridden. Like, I don't think there's any reason Jeremy Renner can't still be Hawkeye. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's really pulling back a bow. I'm pretty sure there's, you know, those arrows are all CGI every time. You know, if you guys didn't know that, glass broken. But something awesome, and now that we're in my top 5, Daredevil Born Again. Honestly, could be higher on this list. Some people didn't love Season 1, and I can understand why, because of the strikes and how it was reworked from the original plan for the show into this new plan. I think Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again will be even better and might raise this show on my ranking even higher than it already is. But, you know, Hawkeye is one of those shows where I would watch Hawkeye every Christmas. I would watch Agatha every Halloween. Would I have watched those shows at random parts during the year? Maybe not. You know, especially maybe if they weren't, you know, holiday themed. Like Hawkeye is a full Christmas show, so you can't necessarily watch that during Halloween, you know what I mean? Agatha, you could probably watch at any time, but just the spooky season vibes and the witchiness of it all, that's a show I want to watch during the Halloween season. Daredevil Born Again, I could watch at any goddamn moment. Like, we're currently, me and my roommate are rewatching the Netflix Season 1 of Daredevil, and we're almost done, and we're heading into that Season 2 Punisher stuff. And, like, I loved Charlie Cox's Daredevil, and I loved the Netflix show so much. And then when they came over into the MCU and now they have a big budget, Daredevil Born Again, I really quite liked, you know, and like even Season 1 where there was some things that you could see were pieced together, but like the Muse stuff, the Kingpin stuff, the White Tiger stuff, the Punisher stuff, like there's some really good stuff in Season 1. In Season 2, I think they're just going to continue on the story and now have a clearer vision going forward of what they want with this show, you know what I mean? And Daredevil, I'm so excited for it. Like, I think it's going to be really good. That premieres in March. If you guys want to go check out breakdowns for most of these shows, they're all up on the channel already. But Daredevil Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, and then all of Daredevil Born Again Season 1, all those breakdowns are all up on the channel already, so go check those out if you haven't. But going on to number 4, a project that is very high and probably shouldn't be this high, but I really do love Michael Giacchino's work and his score and like his shots and direction for this movie, and how it's all in black and white, and then at the end it turns into color, and the way that it does it, it's almost like Wizard of Oz-esque, and like Jack Russell. I am so here for, I forget the actor's name, but Werewolf by Night is such a good project. And one of those projects, every Halloween since it's come out, I have watched this project. And it's only a special presentation, so it's like, it's only like maybe 90 minutes long. I think it's actually more like 60 minutes long. You know, it's like an hour. Or maybe it's like 45 minutes. It might not even be like an hour, you know? So it's like a short one-off thing. So it's not like something you need to sit down and dedicate a whole bunch of time to, you know? And it's just a vibe and a half. And it's spooky season, you know? So it goes to show that the holiday season stuff that Marvel has done, all 3 of them, the spooky season werewolf stuff, the spooky season witch stuff, and then the Christmas stuff with Hawkeye, all 3 of those are in my top 10 right now. And the only one that's not is Guardians Holiday Special, and that's down low, honestly, because it's one of the first things that Marvel Television, in like one of the first things that Marvel put out on Disney+. So there's not many projects other than that, you know, that I've seen that are older, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, something like Hawkeye was that first year of Disney+, but I still really like it. So it's up there at number 6. But then now we're getting into the top 3 here. WandaVision, of course, one of their first shows, or I think if not the first show that they came out with on Disney+, and it really changed the game and really got me into, you know, covering Marvel television shows on this channel, got me into watching breakdowns of Marvel television shows and Easter eggs. I believe WandaVision was what got me into like Brandon Davis and like the Phase Hero people, got me into Heavy Spoilers, got me into Screen Rant and New Rockstars and Eric Voss over there, you know, and all these people that cover the shows and want to discuss them in further detail and talk about the Easter eggs in the background and talk about where things could be going in the future, you know, like WandaVision really started it all, and so many theories and so much fun, and then going through the episodes with the different eras of sitcom television, and like, you know, the first 2 episodes were nods to like, you know, black and white early sitcoms, you know, single cam, and then they went to like That 70s Show and Malcolm in the Middle and all these shows that lead into like, you know, color into the early 2000s and stuff like that, and then into modern television shows type things by the end. And, you know, I don't necessarily love the Hex or White Vision, but the stuff between Wanda and Vision in that series are absolutely amazing. And like, what is love if not grief persevering? Like, or I think I said it backwards maybe. What is grief if not love persevering? And like, he turns into like this yellow dust, and like, oh man, just such a good show. Heartbreaking ending, and I want to see more of my girl Wanda, because then she goes on from that show into Multiverse of Madness, and that didn't necessarily, that jump from show to movie was not necessarily done well, but Wanda as a villain was pretty damn compelling. But then they crushed her under rock, never to be seen again, so maybe Wanda's dead. But if any of these shows, I think Wanda will 100% be in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, and then from there we'll figure out what the future of Wanda's story is. But I would like to see WandaVision Season 2, but apparently the WandaVision show, along with Agatha All Along and Vision Quest, are a trilogy of shows. You know, even though they don't necessarily feel attached, they are apparently going to be one show. Well, not necessarily one show, but you get what I mean, like a trilogy of shows that are connected. You know, and Agatha connects WandaVision's story to Agatha All Along, and then like the Billy story and her kids are part of Agatha All Along, and then I guess that's what will carry on into Vision Quest, when we're still going to be dealing with Billy and Tommy and Wanda's kids, but now with White Vision and Ghost Agatha. So apparently that's going to be coming out later this year, and I'm very excited for Vision Quest and to see a trailer for that and see what that show's all about. And apparently Ultron's back in that, James Spader's back, you know, so we'll see. But top 2 shows, X-Men 97 is number 2, and season 2 for that will be coming out later this year. And I'm, animated project, but it's the only animated project in my top 10, and it certainly deserves it. It's one of the best shows that Marvel put out, and that show was so much fun to cover on the channel, but also was so much fun to just get into the X-Men again. And like, look at all these Deadpool and Wolverine figures over here now. Like, I am full-blown an X-Men guy now. And I was when I was a kid in the early 2000s watching those X-Men movies and Hugh Jackman, but that show, that animated X-Men 97 show, brought back all that X-Men love, and now it's full in my heart and waiting for season 2. And then the number 1 Marvel Disney Plus show, I think, is still Loki. Season 1 blew my pants off and blew my mind, and unfortunately Jonathan Majors in that show got a little messy at some point, but the stuff with He Who Remains at the end of season 1 was absolutely insane. Some of the best television Marvel's ever put out. And then season 2, right, they had to rework it because of Jonathan Majors and all of that. But where they ended up with the Yggdrasil world tree and Loki, God of Stories, holding the timelines together and finally getting his throne and sitting there all alone at the end of time, and the emotion on Tom Hiddleston's face, like, Loki not only made me a Tom Hiddleston guy. Like, anything Tom Hiddleston does now, I will be here for, I will be supporting. He's a legendary actor. He's a better dude. And as Loki, he couldn't know a character better. Honestly, he might know Loki better than he knows himself. You know what I mean? Like, that's how well he knows this character. And he's, a pivotal piece of the MCU, going back all the way to Avengers 1 and Thor 1. And I wouldn't imagine a world without Loki going forward. If Loki actually dies, like, he's died like 4 times now, but if he actually dies and is done, I will be totally devastated and hurt, and I can't wait to see what he's doing on the world tree, holding those timelines together, because he is confirmed for Avengers Doomsday. So I guess we'll see. Maybe Doctor Doom shows up and kills him and starts destroying the timelines, or maybe he needs him to be able to do stuff in the timelines. I don't know. Or maybe Loki will be the one that gets the teams together because Doctor Doom is doing some things to destroy the timelines, so you guys have to stop him. Maybe it's that, but I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm super here for. I can't wait to see more from Avengers Doomsday, and I can't wait to see the next Marvel Disney Plus show that's coming out, which is Daredevil Born Again Season 2 in March. There's a trailer breakdown for that out on the channel now, and I really appreciate anybody that stayed this far into the video. Go watch my Wonder Man breakdown for episode 1 and the season breakdown that came out last week, and go just check out these shows if you haven't watched any of them yourself. Thank you guys so much for making it this far into the video. If you want to send your Marvel Disney Plus show thoughts to me on my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. Send me your Wonder Man thoughts. Send me your top 20. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man didn't make the list because it wasn't on Letterboxd, but it'd probably be somewhere like maybe 10 or 11, maybe right after Moon Knight. But very good show. Also season 2 for that coming out later this year, so we'll be talking more about that. But thank you guys. If you made it this far into the video and you'd like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is dropping a like on this video, commenting below, subscribing if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss the next Marvel ranking video that we do, and you'll get the notification when that comes out. Once again, my name is Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace!